So, hi and welcome. We will wait a couple of minutes more, or at least a couple of seconds, to let people get online. Yeah, happy to see people are joining in, and excited to start showing you what we should have. What you should have seen at IBC this year. Of course, sad to not be a part of IBC and to be in Amsterdam this year. But hopefully next year. Yeah, I think we might start this off. People might be joining in. So, welcome everyone to this webinar. This will be about what you should have seen at IBC. We're hoping to see all of you face to face, but we're also excited to have you here. My name is Daniel. I'm the regional sales manager, and I'm helping customers in the Nordic countries, but also in North America. On my right side, I have Roland.
Hi, I'm the CEO and the product manager of Intinor, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the new technical features very soon.
And on direct link, we also have Martin.
Hi. Hello. Yeah, I'm the European sales manager. I love to listen to customers, understand their application, and from there recommend the best solution. So that's the fun part of my job. I hope to hear from you after the show. Thank you so much. Back to Sweden.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. On my left-hand side, I have Ola, our support manager. Today, he is our intern producer, so we'll see how he can cope with that job. Yeah, we'll see. For those of you who don't know, Intinor was founded in 2003. Our headquarters is in Umeå, a town in the northern parts of Sweden. We develop products for video over internet, and we aim to deliver the best and most comprehensive solution. Our product series, the Direct series, is constantly being furthered, updated, and developed, and of course in close dialogue with our customers. I have a slide that we will show here. This is the product series. The black units are our encoders. Green is for direct receivers with only SDI. And blue ones is our direct router. We like to call it the army knife. So you will learn more about that later on. We also offer solutions for news and sports gathering, remote commentary, remote production, esports, and much more. If you have any questions, or our panelists will keep a close eye on the YouTube chat, and we'll try to answer all of them in the end of the show. So we can go back to me. That's great. We will actually start the webinar with a couple of new additions to our Direct series. First, we would like to show you all a video. This is the video of our new Rack Plus editions. And yeah, so we'll start with that. Go ahead. Yeah, so after this lovely video, I thought we would have a look at the hardware. This on my left-hand side is the direct link rack encoder. This will now handle up to 12 SDI. So like we were seeing in the video, this can have 12 SDI inputs, 12 software encoders. If this were to have a blue front, we could also have combined SDI inputs, SDI outputs, multi-views, and so on. So a lot of flexibility on this. Yeah. And the next new product is the Direct Link NDI rack. So our customers have been asking for an all NDI encoder, and this is the answer for that. It comes with 2 NDI inputs and 1 software encoder. You can always upgrade with more NDI inputs and more software encoders. This can handle up to 4 simultaneous camera streams, so perfect for multi-camera production. We are jumping over to a slide that you actually saw a couple of minutes ago, but we'll have it up again. A couple of months ago, we added the Direct Router Studio, all NDI router for your MCR. So this is a perfect complement when working in an NDI workflow and want to receive high quality video streams from remote locations. All of our products is powered by Bifrost, our own transport protocol. The video gave you some insight in what's new, but I thought Roland would talk more about this and show you some of the new features. So Roland.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm happy to show new features, and it's 3 features I will show you here. One is Bifrost with receiver bonding. One is ARQ, resending packets with Bifrost. And the third one is actually a controller for our video mixer. So we will first look at the technical setup we have here today. So yeah, here we have the new Direct Link NDI rack. And it's connected to fiber internet in the wall through this blue cable, and it's also connected to 3G, 4G modems via our Heimdall, our modem box. And this one is sending now over fiber plus 3G, 4G to the router down here. And the router is connected also to our fiber internet, but it can also have a second internet connection. So I think I will move over to the web interface and show you how it looks. And first I want to show you ISS. It's our management system, and in this case we have all the units that we are seeing. Yeah. Ola. Yeah, the web interface. Yeah. Here we have all the units that we have in the setup. We have a backpack here just beside me. Now you cannot see that because you're looking at the web interface, but now you can see it. We have Martin's mobile unit. We have one mobile unit behind me. We have the new NDI rack, and we also have the big router in the MCR. As you can see in the management system, we have some issues with the internet connection from Martin. We will tell you more about that later. It's just a good test. So from the management system, I can actually go into any of the units, remote control them. And let's have a look first at the router that is receiving everything. So now we are on the status page of the router. And what I wanted to show you here is that we have 4 Ethernet connections on this unit. We have one IP1 that is connected to a static IP to our fiber internet via our internet provider. The second one is used for the VPN, so it's actually for us to control equipment in Munich with Martin's camera and so on, and also video mixer. So IP3 is our NDI network, where we have a lot of NDI input from the TriCaster, for example, in this case. And IP4 is a second redundant internet connection. So, and this is actually a satellite connection because that was the second internet we had. So it's showing now no megabit input. And so let's see what happens if I connect that cable. Now, Ola, we can go to, yep, perfect. You can see the cable. So I connect my second internet connection. And then we just go back to the web interface. So now we are getting some input on IP4 here. So it's actually sending now on both those interfaces. Or the router is receiving on both interfaces. So we can jump into the encoder by remote controlling it from ISS. And first, I want to show you the cost management. And that is, we call it data cost. So in this interface, you can prioritize different internet connections. So I have the first internet connection, that is my fiber. And that is free. I don't pay anything for the data, so I put it on free. I have 4 SIM cards, and those cost more, of course. I don't want to waste 4G data if not needed. And I can actually move around to change the priority of the data cost, and then just save to change it. We can go to the active settings. Here is the encoder. I'm using net video in and the in. We can actually have a look at that. We can see here I have NDI in on my first input. I can select from a lot of NDI sources on the network. So it's very easy to select which input you want to have if you have NDI in the network. And we also have a second NDI input on the rack router. Back to the encoder. I'm streaming with our Bifrost protocol. I'm streaming to this IP number and this port number, but I'm also using an additional second IP number and port number. So this is for my redundant receiving. And I'm using some balanced settings for the latency. So I'm having about 1 second latency from end to end. And then we can go into the detail status. We can see that there is some Swedish hockey here that we are sending. The web interface is going to be a little bit improved. This is a pre-release of an experimental feature. It's scheduled to be released in October as a bit experimental beta. And then later in the end of the year, it will be so-called stable. So the redundant receiving. But this is how it looks now. We have IP1 on destination 1. We are sending about 7 megabit. But we also have IP1 on destination 2, about 7 megabit. For the 4G modem, we are not using any data because they are we have a higher priority or cost priority on the Ethernet connection. So we could see here in the graph, I can make it a bit simple. There is a yellow and red line here for the data going over IP1 for each receiving destination. So I'm not now going to show you what happens if I suddenly remove one of the internet connections on the receiving side. And then you can see the hockey here on the TV, and you can hopefully also see my cable. And so I'm removing now one internet connection, and you could see a very small interruption on the video. Audio is redundant, so there is no audio interruption. And this is kind of the worst case that can happen if you, in your MCR, you have a total on your internet provider. Then it moves all the data to the second. We will show in the web interface, we can see what happened here. Yeah, so the yellow one, the yellow line here is the satellite internet connection that I unplugged. So all the data goes to the first one, and it's also using some of the 3G, 4G to cover up for lost capacity. But after some time, Bifrost will realize that, yeah, IP1 can handle all this data. So we don't need to use the 3G, 4G. It was only in the beginning when the system felt like, oh, I don't know how much data I have, so I will use also the modems. So now we're using only IP1 and no 3G, 4G modems because the modems are more expensive. So let's see what happens if I also remove the 3G, 4G, no, the Ethernet connection, the fiber connection. Yes, now we can see again. So now I'm actually sending 100% of the data over fiber. The 3G, 4G up here is only for some redundancy. I unplug this cable and we can see a small interruption again. And this time what actually happened now is that Bifrost will move all the data over to 3G, 4G. So if we go back to the web interface, we can see that, yeah, there was a huge drop in IP1 and the capacity was moved to 3G, 4G. And this is because I wanted the low latency. I have about 1 second latency from the arena to the MCR. And then I have to accept this if suddenly the internet connection fails. But in some applications, it's okay to have 2 or 3 second latency. And then I can go to the encoder. First, I can re-plug the internet connection. You don't need to show that, Ola. I can go to the web interface, the encoder settings. I can change from balanced burst loss resilience to high resilience. I can have a custom end-to-end delay. I put 2 seconds. So now there will be a bit more interruption because I changed the encoding settings. But after that, we are back. And if you show the web interface now, Ola, IP1 is again doing most of the data. 3G, 4Gs are just using a little bit data. And if we go back and unplug the cable now we have about 2 second end-to-end latency on this connection. I remove the connection and yes, no interruption on the video. So we go back to the web interface and look what happened. Yeah, IP1 dropped very quick, but the 3G, 4G modems took over. And since we have ARQ now, what actually happened was that the receiver is saying to the sender that I lost a lot of data because the cable was unplugged, please resend. And the encoder resent a lot of data, so it didn't have to have any interruption in the stream. So those are the 2 cool features about Bifrost. It's receiver redundancy and ARQ for resending. And ARQ is most useful for high latency applications where you can accept 2 or 3 seconds or even more from end to end. While the forward error correction that we have had for a long time is good for low latency applications. So now I'm going to show you the video mixer, our mobile encoder, and also our backpack has a built-in video mixer. And the video mixer can also be used on the rack encoders, the NDI rack, the routers, and so on. So whenever you need a small built-in video mixer, we can add it as an option. The video mixer used to have only a web interface, and now what is new is that we have added support for the Stream Deck to control the video mixer from a physical interface. So I will show you, maybe you can see a little bit here. I'm getting a preview of inputs, and if you will put this in, put my multi-view in the program. Yeah, multi-view in program, and maybe also on the monitor. Then we can see that the built-in video mixer of this mobile encoder has right now just a PNG picture. So let's say that this is before we actually start our production. We have showing a screen with the seminar starting 1 o'clock or something like that. And then I can, in a normal video mixer, I just press cut to have a camera. Hello. I can switch to another camera and press cut. So I have that camera. Hi. I can make some overlaying. I can put a PNG overlay picture. I can go back to this camera, for example. Remove the overlay. I can show my presentation. Yeah, this is from my laptop, my presentation I have. I can actually do a small picture-in-picture also with this. So now I want the presentation as the background, and I want this picture-in-picture profile and that camera, and then cut. And now I have camera and presentation. So this could be good for some small productions with 2 or 3 cameras, seminars, press conferences, other things. And it's a very small, convenient equipment. I can bring a small HDMI monitor to have the multi-view on, send directly to YouTube or Facebook, or use the Bifrost and send to a studio. Yeah, that's the keypad. And that was my technical presentation. So I think Martin is prepared for showing us a very interesting use case. Over to you, Martin.
Hi, thank you so much. Should I wait until? Yes, I'm there. Okay, so I have my PowerPoint up and running. Ulla, would you like to switch, please? Here it is. Excellent. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, the first part of my presentation will cover a recent production we did in June that was called the Bachmann Prize. That's a German literature prize. Yeah, and the second part is kind of going back to the headline, which is scalability. So we've seen we can have up to 12 SDI inputs, but I'm going to show 4, but maybe more interesting even is how you can mix and remote operate, remote produce on the mobile encoder or mobile rack, router, etc. with a Teams and Teams Live event integration. So let's start with the Bachmann Prize first. That was a literature prize, and this is how the studio looked like. So there were 7 jury members which came in over Intinor in high quality. On the right hand side you see a smaller picture how it was all produced from Klagenfurt, which is in Austria. You see that there is a remote control for the PTZ, the Panasonic control. You also see the multi-view, and that was actually the multi-view produced to send back to the jury members so they can all talk to each other and actually see each other. And these are the locations. 2 people from Berlin, one in Thalwil, that's Switzerland, Zurich, Switzerland, Bamberg, Germany, Vienna, Austria, Graz, Austria, and the MCR in Klagenfurt. Going to the next slide. This is how it looked like at the homes. So people sitting at home. On the upper left-hand side, you see there is the Panasonic camera, remote controlled over our VPN. In front, there's a screen that had the return video with the multi-view. So the jury member could see everybody else and of course talk to everybody else. That was done over an audio interface called the PreSonus. On the right hand side is just another example on how it looked like at somebody at home, and that is one of the authors actually reading the book. Going to the next slide. We're looking at the signal flow this time. And that was a PTZ camera coming in over SDI, could as well be on NDI. Going into an Intinor direct link, the black encoder series, could have been a mobile encoder as well, just like the one I have. To be more robust in the transmission, more redundant, we used 2 USB 4G modems. And then we were going from A to B. And B was Klagenfurt MCR in this case, with a direct router Rack Plus platform using 8 SDI outputs. And that system also generated the VPN. So all the 7 remote encoders were connected to that kind of master VPN. And the yellow line represents the VPN to control the PTZs. In addition, we had several PreSonus audio interfaces to allow the mix minus being sent back to the same unit at each of the locations. And of course, we just discussed there was return video, which is a multi-view, and that was on HDMI output, which is an onboard HDMI out on each of our devices. So that allowed us to have return video. And the whole production actually went to ORF, Austrian broadcaster, Dreisat, and SRF, the Swiss TV channel, and that was both on linear TV and web TV. So that was kind of the Bachmann price. Going to the next slide, I want to go back a little bit to the bigger picture of remote production, and this time we again have multiple different sources, could be HDMI, SDI, NDI, into one of these devices, sending 4 streams in parallel, because the production is actually happening in the studio. So that could be a direct router. If it is the studio version, you can have up to 4 NDI outputs. And from there, you forward the streams, just like Ola, my colleague in Sweden, is using it right now. You're forwarding it on NDI level into the TriCaster, into a vMix, or whatever you like best. You might as well have some call-in, which is part of the TriCaster system, and from there use NDI virtual input and have it as a complete production in your Teams session. When I mention Teams here, it could as well be Zoom and other platforms, so it doesn't have to be Teams. There's more platforms supporting NDI virtual input. And again, we use the same trick, let's say. We use the Stream Deck, and Ola is actually using a Skarhoi controller to remote control my PTZ from Sweden in Germany. And the next step is I'm listening to a mix minus, which I have on IFB on my mobile encoder, but I could as well use a PreSonus or similar interface. And for the return video, I have it over there. There's NDI going back into the router, and the router can send it to me as return video, or with another encoder, software encoder, you can have an RTMP stream go into Teams Live event, as well as YouTube, just like we do, Facebook, and this is a little sneak preview on an upcoming new another webinar talking about the new video server, which is an option for the direct router. So that was kind of the big picture. we talked about scalability. So let's have a look how we do it when the upstream capacity is difficult. And this is kind of taken from an idea and a customer project, allowing me to focus on the presentation, and actually Ola, my colleague in Sweden, remote operating my system. So Ola takes over to do the video mix on my system. He can do picture-in-picture, he can control the audio. So where's the source coming from? Is it my microphone? Is it something I'm playing back from my laptop? He can add graphics and logo, just like we've seen Roland do it already. And again, we have maybe these sources, and this time is the video mixer. And to actually see all the sources in real time, what's coming in on my mobile encoder, we're sending a multi-view stream from A to B. And of course, this is a difficult situation. My upstream capacity or upstream is very limited, so I'd rather use whatever 2-3 megabit 720p multi-view stream just to know what's going on and have a good quality program sending to Sweden. And that shows up on a direct router with 4 NDI outputs, and again goes into TriCaster or vMix or similar. Ola is using the VPN again to remote control the PTZ I have. And from there I could actually use NDI virtual input again to have all the final production in my Teams presentation. And again, Teams could be Zoom, could be other platforms as well. And from there, same trick again, RTMP sent to Teams live event, YouTube, Facebook, or the built-in video server. So that was kind of, the scalability part, going from 12 SDI inputs maybe down to 4. And next time you have a difficult situation, difficult IP environments, then it's nice to know you can have an onboard video mixer. Yeah, so that was kind of my presentation. Feel free to contact me after the show. There's a PDF I can send you that also has the links, so you can see all the videos that were produced. Feel free to contact me, and thank you so much, and back to Sweden then.
Thank you very much, Martin. That was a really good use case, and also the different ways of using the video mixer. You can either send just one camera and PTZ control it, like in the Bachmann prize, but you can also send multiple cameras, or you can do the video mixing on site. And the really cool thing is that we are actually doing exactly this setup now. So Martin is with us as a link from Germany, redundant with the Bifrost protocol, and Ola is controlling his PTZ camera and video mixer. So I'm going to show you in the web interface how this looks a little bit. And so are we seeing the web interface now? This is the web interface where we can see Martin's laptop and Martin, and from here Ola could cut between the sources, so he's not wasting the double bitrate from a remote location. And if someone is sitting at home and doing a production, capacity may not be so super good, and this is exactly the case today. So if we look at ISS, and as you may have seen during Martin's presentation, we have a few interruptions from Germany. And this is because we want to have the low latency. We want to hand over to Martin, we want to get back soon. So this is a low latency application, and then we have to accept a bit of interruptions if the network is not good. If we have a look at how Bifrost is working in Martin's home right now, we go to the encoder, detail status. We can see that here we have some detailed information. We can see that Martin's latency is on his IP1, his Ethernet connection. He has a latency of about 30 milliseconds. And this is the network latency. This is not end-to-end internet or video latency. This is the network latency of his home internet. But sometimes, this is the last 10 minutes, sometimes the latency goes up to 200 or even more. And that, of course, if we, at the same time, we want low latency, and the internet connection is not 100% reliable, then we have to accept some small interruptions in the video. And we have also 4G here, but 4G is only used for redundancy. We could send extra data from his latency spikes here, but actually the 3G, 4G coverage was also not so super good. And you can see that the latency on the 3G, 4G could be up to even 5 seconds. But 3G, 4G is very good for giving some extra redundancy and also for audio redundancy. So I hope you didn't hear any audio issues from Martin. I could see some video flickering, but there was no audio problems. So if you send out equipment to a lot of people and ask them to work from home, some people will have very good internet at home, some people will have not so good internet at home, but it will work and you will have a good quality, much better than Skype or Teams or something if you do a broadcast remote production like this. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say about that. So over to you, Daniel, I think.
Yeah, and thank you both Roland and Martin. That's been great. Our panelist, Martin, has been keeping an eye on our YouTube chat, so and I haven't. So let's see if Martin has picked up any questions. So Martin.
Yeah, thank you so much. There is a gentleman called Torbjörn Lindström, if I say that correctly, and he was asking, does the Stream Deck also remote control a backpack video mixer? And then he added on 4G connection. Maybe that's something for Roland, since you already showed us the Stream Deck.
Yes. Yeah, the Stream Deck video mixer controller is for both the mobile encoder and for the backpack. It can also be, if you have an optional video mixer on the rack encoder, you can also use the Stream Deck. Even if you have a video mixer on the router, you can use the Stream Deck. There are two ways actually to use the Stream Deck. One way is to connect it like this using USB, and then you connect the first video mixer that is present on that unit. So you could have multiple video mixers, you controlling the first one. There is another way of using the Stream Deck also that we support, and that is using our API. And then you can connect the Stream Deck to your laptop, for example, and you can make your own, you can configure the keys on the Stream Deck, and then you can control a router, for example. You can start, stop streams, you can get the bitrate you're sending, you can do video mixing, you can do almost anything, but then you have to do a lot of configuration by yourself. So, because the Steam Deck controller doesn't know what you want to control in that case. But if you connect it with USB, then it will work just out of the box and control the video mixer only.
Great. Was there any other questions, Martin?
Not from YouTube, as far as I can see. So, yeah, people watching, please ask more questions. Feel free.
Great. And if you have any questions that you have, send them in. Go to intinor.com. You have all the information there. Either contact one of us directly or on our info email. The plan for us is to do one event each month, especially during this time. So we will have one webinar when we are focusing on our sub 0.5 latency project. That will probably be in December. We will have another one on the backpack where we will talk more about that and how you can use it. streaming to multi-platforms like Martin talked about. But we will update you and send more information on what's to come. Roland, did you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I think I want to add also that those were the biggest new things. There are a lot of small things and a lot of work in progress, so we are improving the product. One thing that was not really ready for demo but is very soon ready is that we will have a bonded connection to ISS and the 4-wire talkback. That will be ready in about a month for those who want to try and play with that, probably. And so if you have now the management system is on your fiber internet connection and you remove that, you cannot control the unit for a few seconds. When we have the bonded management system, then you can also control the unit. And there are some features about using custom certificates for servers on your local network, and there are a lot of other small features that we didn't really bring up here, but you can ask us if you want any of those other things as well.
Great. I think that's it. So thank you for joining us for this webinar.
I think Martin has another question, is it?
Did he?
Yeah.
Great. Go ahead.
Yeah. Torbjörn asked again, does Google Meets Hangouts support virtual NDI? I need to actually Google maybe.
Google, yeah,
but maybe we can.
I have used Meet with virtual NDI input. It works.
Ah, yeah. Excellent. Good. So it's a yes. Wonderful.
For those of you who don't know, NDI virtual input or is a part of the NDI tools. So a product from NewTek and NDI tools. So that's one of the newer plugins from their end, right?
Yeah. You can use any NDI source as the input for your web camera.
Exactly.
In Google Meet. And also the other way, you can output from your laptop to NDI using NDI scan converter.
Yeah. So there's a lot of cool features in the NDI tools, and they're always adding more features and making them better. So if you're working with NDI, it's definitely good to have a look at that.
Yeah. And I have another question from Vasilios. He was asking, can the video mixer be controlled through an open API?
The answer is yes, because our open API is based on the web interface on the mobile unit and on all our units is based on the API. So everything you can do in the web interface is also available in the API, including controlling the video mixer, the router panel, a lot of other things. And there are even some things that can only be used from the API and not from the web interface. So yes, the API can do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like, at least for the moment, it seems like these are all the questions I've seen.
Great. Yeah. So then we're gonna shut this down. We want to thank you very much for joining us on this webinar. We hope that we can see you all face to face soon again. But until then, keep in touch and we'll and keep safe and healthy. And we'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. See you.
Okay. Ciao. Ciao.